Hello friends, it's Nancy from Astrology and Angel Mediums, and today I have a weekly check-in reading for you for the week of Sunday, August 2nd, all the way through Saturday, August the 8th. So I really hope everyone had a lovely week. I know that full moon in Aquarius was very interesting, at least in my household, and so I feel like I've been dealing with a headache since then, but I tend to just be very sensitive to the lunar, kind of momentum and movement. All right, so today I wanted to use the Ethereal Visions Illuminated Tarot deck by Matt Hughes. This is going to be the indie print version. It was a deck that I was so happy whenever I was able to get my hands on it, and then they ended up doing a mass-produced version of this deck, so that's really nice that it was available. I haven't really gotten the other versions or the other things that Matt Hughes has put together. I just thought this deck was so stunning when it came out, and so I was very happy to have found it in a resale group, where every once in a while I will feel like I'm okay, I have an opportunity to get that deck. All right, so let's kind of see what we have in store for us this week. So what do we need to know as a collective? We have the Empress reversed. All right, what do we need to do as a collective? So here we have the 10 of Swords reversed. All right, now what do we need to release as a collective? We have the 7 of Pentacles. That's funny. And then finally, what do we need to contemplate this week as a collective? We have the 5 of Cups. Okay, well, it looks like if you're wanting it to be a chill Leo season, I don't think we're going to be having that this year. Okay, so let's kind of talk about what we have to know, what we need to know, I guess, this week. So first card is going to be the Empress reverse. Now, when I think of the Empress, I think of creativity, fertility, really being able to kind of take a step back and just really enjoy the bounty, enjoy the things that you've created, the life that you have around you, the things that are, feeding you and making you feel connected. And with it being a major card and it being reversed, I think that maybe this is going to be a week where maybe we need to kind of take a step back and kind of internalize, what are we working towards? What are we doing? Maybe there is a little bit of a sense of lack right now, where maybe we feel like, well, I can't really just ease up and enjoy and have fun and do things. I have, this, and this I need to get done, or I need to focus on these things or those things. And I know as we're kind of getting ready for, kids to go back to school, but for me, I'm going to go back to work this month. And so I'm in this phase of I'm trying to hurry up and do everything that I can while I have the time and kind of get it out of the way, so that it'll be easier for me to show up in the ways that I would like to show up at the, when I'm ready to kind of go back. So I think the energy is kind of similar. And I know astrologically, we just have, a lot of different things that just are making it seem a little bit more like a challenge. So maybe this week may feel like we want to enjoy things and we want to kind of just go and do what we want to do and just really say I've worked hard, I deserve to have these things, I want to do these things. And so there may be a little bit of this sense of wanting to, but maybe this is a time where we need to kind of internalize and kind of be a little bit more introspective as far as well, what can we do that still honors this, but isn't something that maybe is so flashy, so outward seeming. Maybe it's time to, not saying you shouldn't dream big or anything like that, but it may feel like maybe we're wanting to scale back in some ways. I know for me, that was one of the big things I've been trying to do most of the summer, is just kind of taking it easy, not be too out there. Yesterday we kind of did a bunch of stuff And I was kind of like, I don't know, but this is like the pace that I want to keep moving at for this summer. Like I kind of just want to take it easy and relax and just kind of keep it really simple as far as like what I'm doing, who I'm spending time with. Like it's been more of like kind of getting together at people's homes and, you know, simple things in that way that don't really feel like, oh, I'm having to spend a lot of money to have fun and to like be around people. So I feel like this week is maybe that's what we need to kind of know, is that we need to just kind of maybe scale it down and but still kind of treat ourselves like the Empress would, you know, of really enjoying things, but maybe on a like more scaled down kind of like in a way that feels a little bit more internalized or less kind of like out there. So we may not feel ready to just kind of be out there doing all kinds of things this week. Maybe we're still kind of feeling like I need to scale down a little bit. I need to just kind of focus on like, what do I need first before I can kind of show up? And I think that's very prevalent, especially since we have this Ten of Swords for our what do we need to do, the Ten of Swords reverse. Because to me, this is typically a card that talks about like, hey, you've already been through the ringer. You've already been through the worst of it. You have experienced everything. And now it's time to kind of say like, all right, I'm ready to, you know, move into this next thing. And as we can see, here's this figure. He's got those 10 swords in his back. He's just laying down, like shoes off, like just, you know, by like just basically feeling like I've been through it. I have gone through everything. There's nothing left. And I think with this being reversed, we have this sense of what we need to do is maybe this is not the time to kind of overschedule yourself and do too much and try to add too many things into what, you know, you should be doing or feel like you should be doing. So if you've been kind of wanting to be like, well, now I gotta like pack in everything all at once because now I have time or whatever, I think that's not going to be like the right move, if that makes sense. I think it's maybe more of a time to kind of focus on like not trying to push too much. And I think maybe both of these cards are kind of saying like, hey, you know, like this is not the time to just like hurry up and try to get everything done. Now, I do know we do have eclipse season starting in like a week or so, 2 weeks, in the next 2 weeks. And so I know for like me and in like my practices, I don't really like to do too many magical workings and things of that nature during eclipse season. There's certain things that I like to kind of do, but since this one is going to be hitting some more of like my personal placements, I am going to be a little bit more cautious about what it is that I'm like focusing on and what I'm doing. And I think with this week, we're kind of getting a little bit of this sense of, you know, again, we've been through so much. We have a lot going on. Maybe there's too much that we're carrying on our plate. Maybe there's too much that we have been kind of internalizing and not kind of getting rid of and working through. So this may not be the time to really just keep pushing forward and keep doing things. I think that maybe there's a lot of stuff that we have a lot of anxieties about that we've just really been focusing on. And so we need to just be very aware of where that energy is going and why, especially with the Empress reverse. Like, I think there's something here that we just haven't really been paying attention to. So I think that this is going to be a week where it's not going to be beneficial for us to just keep pushing forward, to just keep kind of getting into the next thing, just trying to do things just to do them. So if you've been feeling a little bit like maybe you've been putting a lot of pressure on yourself, maybe you feel like I should have been doing this, should have been doing that, this is not the time to just kind of focus on, you know, trying to push forward and do things that don't really feel in alignment with like the energy of the week, if that makes sense. And so look at, you know, what sort of anxieties, mental load you're carrying. Look at, you know, what it is that actually feels empowering for you this week. What feels like something that can be actually nurtured for you, because maybe there's something that's lacking internally that wants to be nurtured at this time, that would be significant for you to just kind of move into this energy. Now, with what we need to release, we have the Seven of Pentacles. Now, as we're kind of moving into, the beginning of what we consider the fall season here, I know for me, it's like, I'm like, it's October. It's not, it's August, but sometimes by this point in the summer, I'm like so over summer that I'm just like, I just want cooler temperatures. I just want days that just feel like I can open up my windows, I can walk outside. I'm not, being like smothered by the ozone layer here. And things of that nature, where I feel like I can just be outside and I can breathe. But with the Seven of Pentacles, and with this being what we need to release, is the sense of, maybe we've been waiting for something. Maybe we're waiting for something to come together, something to fall into place, something to, kind of come into our consciousness, or maybe even our like level of understanding. And when I think of the Seven of Pentacles, I think that it's very much this like sense of, I've put in the hard work, and now I'm like, just hurry up and grow, hurry up and do things. And with many things in life, especially if you're someone that likes to grow plants or, grow vegetables, have a garden, things of that nature, many of us have come to understand that it is something that requires a lot of patience and a lot of just waiting and not really knowing how things are going to be, because again, you're just kind of waiting, and you're going to do what you can to give something the optimal conditions that you possibly can, and just hope that it takes root and that it grows. And the Seven of Pentacles is very much that kind of energy of, maybe there's this part of us that has been like, I've been working so hard towards this one thing, and I'm not seeing the results that I thought I was going to, or things are not really falling into place the way that I thought they were going to, or this, that, and the other. And so maybe we've been putting a lot of these like challenging kind of ideologies, expectations, requirements on what it is that we're trying to do. And so the Seven of Pentacles is kind of saying like, we have to just kind of release that expectation. We have to, have this sense of, I've done everything that I can. And I really like the ideology of positive expectancy of, I want to focus on like what's the best that can happen, versus being too focused on the hardest things, the worst things. I really do try to hit things from a more optimistic point of view, which maybe to some people can seem kind of naive. As I've gotten older, I feel like it's never really been to my detriment to try to be more positive, if that makes sense. So I always try to look at the silver lining, or, what is happening here. Now, I'm not going to sit here and say that every situation has a silver lining, or that every situation has a positive outcome. I'm not saying that. I'm not telling you to just kind of like spiritually bypass some of the things that do happen to you that can be quite challenging and quite traumatic, and, basically doing it for the plot or whatever. But I think that this week we have this sense of, maybe there's a lot of pressure that we've been putting on ourselves. And so we haven't really been enjoying what it is to be here and to be now and to kind of go through these things. And I think the Seven of Pentacles is kind of saying like, don't try to just like rush into the next thing. And that's something I've been trying not to do, like with my, kind of recovery from my surgery, is I'm trying to just not like rush into the next thing, even though I do have these moments where I'm like, I just wish I could just like have like my day-to-day life and the things that I was doing, where I don't have to depend on so much assistance and help and whatever. But I'm also like, my body is trying to heal, and I want to give it those optimum conditions to be able to do so. And so we have this like sense of, are we just trying to like rush into the next thing? And I've been seeing a lot of these like different videos of people that are like, we can't just like be in the season that we're in. And I have noticed that maybe just like from, you know, going to the stores and stuff like that, I feel like everyone's trying to just like rush us into like the next phase and into the next thing and into the next season, into the next holiday, and like hurry up and buy. Cause I'm like, it's a few months away. Like, let us kind of be in the season that we're in. Let us kind of enjoy the things that are beautiful about summer. Let us enjoy things that are beautiful about fall during fall. Let us enjoy things that are beautiful about winter during winter. And there's nothing wrong with that at all. But I feel like sometimes we're so like being pushed to just like hurry up and just get to like the next thing. And I think the Seven of Pentacles this week is really going to show us that this like need of like, hey, hold on, let it go. Just kind of be in the season that you're in. Just wait patiently for it. Like, don't try to just like, oh, I finally see a fruit on this, you know, thing that I've been growing on this plant. So I'm just going to like take it, even though I know it's not ripe enough, even though I know it's not done growing. And so let us not like shorten our own kind of growth period at this time by trying to hurry up and get into the next thing because we're like being impatient with it. And finally, what we need to contemplate is the Five of Cups. Now, the Five of Cups is this very interesting card to me in a lot of ways because it talks about the emotional losses that we may experience. But I like to look at it as a card that is not only giving us this like challenge of like, hey, are we emotionally adept at dealing with the things that we've been feeling? Have we just been trying to like hurry up and like go and get into the next thing? Or are we really giving ourselves an opportunity to kind of connect with what we're feeling and why we feel the way that we do? So I think with what we need to contemplate this week, maybe there's a lot of these different emotions that have been coming up and we just haven't really been allowing ourselves to feel them. As a lady, I know for many of us, we're not really allowed to feel the way that we would like to. And I know this is very prevalent in our cultural society for men as well, to not have an opportunity to really like feel their feelings. And we don't always really hold a lot of space for men to be emotional or men to be, you know, okay. And I know like anger is one of these emotions that I feel like is socially acceptable. Whereas, you know, if someone is depressed or anxious or, you know, crying or has a lot of grief, you know, I think a lot of these other emotions are not deemed as socially acceptable. And so I know for many of us, like we don't give ourselves permission to feel these things. And so we kind of feel stuck because we're like, I have all of these feelings, I have all of these things inside of us or inside of myself, and I haven't really had a chance to kind of like let that out. And I don't think that emotions, like the intention of how we have built our society, that we were meant to just constantly have so many feelings and have a barrage of so much information and so much access to others in so many different ways that we kind of have not really learned how to tune into ourselves. And so I think this Five of Cups this week is what we need to contemplate is, you know, what sort of stuff do we need to kind of let go? What sort of things is it okay for us to say, yeah, I am upset. I am this, I feel this way. And what sort of things are we kind of neglecting because we've also kind of emotionally shut ourselves off? And I know it can feel overwhelming, especially with like this Ten of Swords of like this overthinking, the anxiety, this, that, the other. But I think if we were a little bit more balanced in society as far as like allowing ourselves to really feel things, to not try to like make people hurry up and like go through their process and just be fine again. I think if we did that and just kind of wrapped around a little bit more when people have a lot of these different feelings and these emotions and these frustrations, because life is not always kind, it's not always easy. And unfortunately, with everything that's been kind of going on in our society, it doesn't feel that way for many people. It can feel very frustrating. It can feel very like am I ever going to be able to do something different? Am I ever going to be able to, live a life the way that I would like to? And so many of us are kind of caught in this like survival mode that it can be very challenging to kind of allow ourselves to look at, what comes next. Because I know for many of us, like, we're just trying to make it through the day. And, if you're one of the few people that is out there and is like, feels like they can thrive and, really move into the goals that you have for yourself, or, you have things that you want and you need, and you feel very fulfilled by things, please count yourself lucky. Because a lot of the people I've talked to and a lot of the people I have connected with, a lot of us are just kind of like, what is happening? What's going on with this world? Like, what can we do to kind of make it better? And what can we do to, really be present in our lives? So I'm very big of, your mindset is a big part of the experiences and the way that you will experience the world. It's not to say that you won't ever have bad things happen, or that challenges will not arise. That's not what I'm, saying at all. But I'm very big on again, just having very positive expectancy about things. But I do know that there's a lot of this grief or these heavier emotions that I haven't really allowed myself to feel, because I don't always know how these things will be received. Because anytime I feel like I've expressed stuff, it's like people kind of take it as like a personal attack. And sometimes our emotions, again, they're not rational, and we're allowed to feel how we feel. But I feel like in our current society, it's like people are like, yeah, you're allowed to feel how you want to feel, but, basically don't involve me. But the thing with interpersonal relationships is that we're constantly, passing that energy back and forth. And so we need to kind of tune into, well, how am I really feeling about this? And what do I have really going on? Because those emotions do, inform how we show up and what we have going on. And I know that these are all kind of like harsh cards for Leo season, but again, Leo season to me is so much about the self and our sense of how we can kind of show up and really truly shine. And if we aren't really dealing with some of these heavier topics and these heavier, kind of energies, how can we truly show up in a way that feels not just authentic, but also in alignment with, what it is that we would like for ourselves? So this may feel like a week where we need to be a little bit more introspective, a little bit more contemplative of like the things that we've been carrying and why. And it will allow us to kind of move into this next phase without feeling so blocked and feeling so stuck. So I hope that you enjoyed this reading. I want to say thank you so much for joining me. I appreciate you guys watching. Please take care, stay safe, and as always, make good choices. And happy August, my friends. Bye.